Let's talk strategy in each of the major formats up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, February 27th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Chris Towers, and let's talk strategy. We'll start off with Roto, the standard 5x5, also known as rotisserie. The most traditional way to play fantasy baseball. There's 10 categories, 5 hitting, 5 pitching, and you want to rank highly in as many of those categories as humanly possible. Chris, what is your general strategy when drafting in Roto? Has it changed at all this year?
No, I think there's room to adjust your strategy, and if you read or listen to Scott White, I think you'll get a sense of he's adjusted his strategy a lot this season with regards to how he approaches pitching, how he approaches stolen bases over the past couple of seasons. I think the biggest thing is just you need that balance. That there will be people who say, well, Roto doesn't really reflect players' values, and that's true, I suppose, but ultimately the game we're playing is about striking a balance between power and speed and ratios and volume on the pitching side. And so for context, last year, the average team that won a 12-team CBS Sports League had 98.6 category points. That means they were on average between 4th and 3rd place in every category. So you don't have to be number 1 in every category. On average, no team was number 1 in every category. I think the average best was 2nd place in home runs. But you need to compete in all of them. If you're anywhere lower than 6th in a category, it makes it really, really hard to compete. So figuring out the right balance between, hey, I need power. Power is the most important thing in fantasy because a home run, by definition, gives you a run and an RBI. It helps you in 3 different categories and in batting average, too. But you also need stolen bases. And guys who steal bases tend to not hit for power. So finding that balance is always going to be the most important thing. And that's why when you look at our rankings, you're going to see Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt, Corbin Carroll right there after Ronald Acuna, even though Freddie Freeman and Aaron Judge and Mookie Betts are probably better hitters, because getting 30 home runs and 30 plus steals is super, super valuable there.
Let's talk about head-to-head points. And if you're looking to get into fantasy baseball for the first time, or you enjoy playing fantasy football, then this is the format for you. On CBS head-to-head points leagues, they do use a shallower format, so that allows you to take on a little bit more risk because the waiver wire has more options available to you. And Chris, I think one of the big distinctions here between head-to-head points and Roto is that in a points league, plate discipline matters more. You get points for walks, you get negative points for strikeouts. And on the pitching side, you want volume. You want pitchers that go deep into starts, that give you quality starts. Strikeouts still matter, but maybe not as much as they do in a Roto league. So I think targeting maybe hitters with really good plate discipline, pitchers that go deeper into starts, is a way that you could start your head-to-head point strategy.
Yeah, so you look at someone like Elly De La Cruz, I think is probably the poster boy for the gap between head-to-head and points and Roto this year, because he actually walks a decent amount, but he strikes out so much. And so much of his game, at least as a rookie, was dependent on speed. He's on a 56 stolen base pace. That's hugely valuable in Roto. And it's enough to push him into 2nd, 3rd round consideration. In a head-to-head points league, I mean, if Elly De La Cruz figures it out, stops striking out so much, hits 30-plus home runs, he's going to be really good in any format. But if he's the guy he was last year, that's a pretty fringe shortstop in a head-to-head points league, because the plate discipline's so bad, because stolen bases have value in head-to-head points, but it's not the be-all, end-all like they can be in Roto. So that's one big thing. And on the pitching side, I think the one thing to keep in mind is saves aren't directly a category. You get points for saves, but the number 1 relief pitcher last season would have been the number 17 starting pitcher. So you'll see relief pitchers get pushed up into the 3rd, 4th, 5th round range in some of your Roto leagues. They shouldn't go anywhere close to that in head-to-head points. And my strategy this year, there are, I think, like 7 or 8 starting pitchers who are relief pitcher eligible, who look like they're going to be in a rotation. Those are the guys I want later in the rounds, because if Chris Paddock or Frankie Montas or any of those guys figures it out, they could be really, really valuable in a head-to-head points league, and in a way that is even more valuable than Roto.
And we could do a whole podcast just talking about head-to-head categories, but because we don't have much time left, if you want to learn more about that, you can listen to our full-length podcast where we did break down the head-to-head categories format as well. It is the Wild West, and you need more time to talk about it. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.